Hey there, my name's Bren Vanderswag. I'm the president of Gutter-Experts.com and the founder of Gutter-Con, which is being held in just 49 days from now in Denver, Colorado. Leading up to Gutter-Con, I'll be doing a series of chats with people, a variety of people in the gutter world, speakers who will be presenting at Gutter-Con, suppliers, and regular gutter guys just like you and me. We'll be talking about their businesses and how they play a role in today's gutter industry. So I'd like to introduce to you my guest for today, Brian Mahoney. Brian is the publisher of Gutter Enterprise magazine, and he's speaking with us from Pennsylvania. Brian's been in the marketing and advertising business since 2002. How you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing well, thank you, Brian.
How's the weather in Pennsylvania?
It's not bad. We had a storm last night that came through, but nothing real tumultuous. You know, no torrential rains or snow or anything like that.
So Pennsylvania, you're below New York, right? Kind of.
No, we're actually just west of New York. We're west of New York.
Gotcha. So you've been in the advertising business since 2002. So why don't you just start by telling us what sort of advertising you were in, or what got you into the advertising business, maybe back in 2002?
Well, I had worked previously with other ad agencies.
Yeah.
In the manufacturing industries,
Yeah.
and ad agencies are a quirky group. You know, the owners, you know, there are a lot of small shops, large agencies, ad agencies, and it's interesting because the owners are always look that they've got this secret, they got the secret weapon, and you know, you got to go through them to market your product and you know, to bring it to the end user. And that's always kind of bothered me, because it's like, if you know, if you, the inventor or whomever that might be, is bringing a product to fruition, and you have to know your end user. How do they buy? When do they buy? There are just some simple questions that you really, I mean, I'm not making it sound like it's like, you know, easy peasy. I'm just saying that if you do your homework and you know who your end user is and how they buy, and you know, that's half the battle with advertising. So I got aggravated with working with some advertisers. So I went off on my own and started RLM Advertising. It was successful.
So you said manufacturers. What sort of manufacturers were you dealing with?
We were in the building, racing, and industrial. That's what we focused on. That was our primary focus, and we did a lot of marketing, sell sheets, handouts, brochures, catalogs, websites. We basically just focused on those industries, and within those industries provided those marketing and advertising services.
So mostly print.
No, we did a lot. For instance, it's interesting because, you know, there's so much out there as far as, and I use QR codes as an example, and I have been a big advocate of QR codes for, I don't know, for probably 10 years. And they still are out of fashion, yet many people use them because you basically click your phone. Everybody has a phone. Everybody has a camera. The cameras now are built in with a QR code reader within it.
Yep.
You can basically snap that QR code and it takes you anywhere you want it to go. It takes you to a website, PDF, you know, wherever you want to take it. And there's really not anything else out there that I'm aware of that works that efficient and gets you to where you want to be with few clicks. I'm all about, if you're on a website or wherever you are, the fewer clicks that you utilize to get to where the end the information is vital. That's extremely important.
Yeah. So when did, so you were doing that, you were kind of, and are you still doing that sort of stuff now? Or are you just strictly gutter enterprise now?
No, RLM advertising still supplies a lot of the sometimes ads that are required by Gutter Enterprise, by our clients. A lot of our clients that come to us don't necessarily have an ad agency that can build an ad for them.
Okay.
So Gutter RLM advertising offers that aspect of it.
And does that company do work for other people other than people in the gutter industry, or is strictly just for gutter?
Well, there has been a transition because the magazine has really taken up quite a large portion of my time. So we're um, looking to spend more time on the magazine and less on and quite frankly, some of the industries that we used to work with are no longer around. So
Really?
it's because you think about 2008, and when we had that big drop off, a lot of people didn't make it through the other side. A lot of agencies, a lot of manufacturers, a lot of people didn't make it through the other side.
Yeah.
So because it was devastating. It was devastating.
Yeah.
And now here we are. We look at 2022, and we're back in the same place. With all that's going on, the volatility in the market, the scarcity of finding product.
Yeah.
It's supply and demand, supply and demand, supply and demand. That's what everyone I talk to within the industry just on a daily basis. I mean, I was just talking to Hancock Enterprises, and we're doing an article on gutter guards, and what there are so many different gutter guards out there, and which gutter guard is unique, where it works best, things of that sort. And the installers on the front line, the installers should be advocating to the homeowner, hey, based upon your environment around your home, this is the best gutter guard that's going to be in use, that you should be using.
Yeah.
But they should have 2 to 3 options available to offer the homeowner.
Yeah.
So that's just one article that we're covering, this particular issue.
Yeah, I'll just say this. I mean, I'm from, up on the east coast of Canada, and you've got a lot more options down here in the States for sure, as far as gutter guards go. So,
Oh yeah,
I
all
agree.
you have to do is go on the internet.
Yeah.
And you're educated.
And we've got a number of them coming to Gutter-Con in April. So, I'm anxious to see these other gutter guards too. So just getting back to the magazine then, when did your first issue go out? And I guess maybe before you answer that question, like what brought you to saying, okay, we want to do this and we're going to be putting out our first issue next year? Like, I mean, just kind of talk to me about how that all started.
Well, there was a publication. I think that a lot of installers are probably well aware of, Gutter Opportunities. I think that came out in like 2011, 2012, something like that.
You had nothing to do with that, though.
Excuse me?
You had nothing to do with that?
No, we didn't have anything to do with that. But I had clients that advertised in that publication.
Okay.
And then publication was acquired by, I believe, one of the roofing magazines.
Okay.
So so there was an opening. I saw it. And I kind of waited for a couple of years, and because I was still very busy with RLM advertising, and then there was an opportunity to go forward with the magazine. Made a couple of phone calls to some key players in the industry and told them what my intentions were. And they were just like, yeah, go for it. Absolutely. We've got your back. And they've been true to their word. It's a fantastic industry. I mean, everybody in the industry is very cool, very approachable, very knowledgeable, very passionate about the industry, about, their particular product, or just the industry as a whole,
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah, I think, people really don't think about gutters, when they're building the house until, it's time to do it, I guess. But yeah, it is really important.
Well, that's my point. I mean, that's the whole idea of educating the installer, instead of the installer walking in there and saying, okay, you want 5 or 6 inch K-style gutter. What color do you want? We'll see if we can get it, because I mean, that's a big issue right now.
Yeah,
Is it, A, can you even get the product?
yeah,
Because coil, getting aluminum coil is so difficult to get.
yeah. Well, it's not just K-style
Try to
gutter
get,
nowadays too, right? There's other styles of
excuse me,
gutter too.
styles of gutter. Yes,
Yeah,
yes. Um, I would say there's been an uptick in black gutters, big uptick in black gutters. Half round has seen a popularity come back on half round.
yeah,
Copper still has a huge, their market share. I mean, there's zinc, there's stainless steel, there's some eco-friendly. I mean, it really is vast what is available to the homeowner, and yet, the installer goes in and he just sells his 5-inch and 6-inch K-style gutter, and that's it. And there's so much more out there that they could be offering, which would lend credibility to the company, as well as a lot of product accessories, whether they be gutter guards, gutter accessories, water harvesting, um, you know, uh, even talking up fire prevention in California. Talking to an installer out there, Rock, Rain Gutters by Rock, who lives out in he was out in the desert by Palm Springs, and he's been installing for 30 plus years. He's an outstanding guy, very, very knowledgeable. We refer to him as Rock the Professor.
oh yeah. Well, I'll have to maybe reach out to him. Is he in the rainwater
He's
harvesting
a very
business?
interesting character. And so it's an industry that does not get its the credibility it deserves, and it's up to the installers who are on the front lines, who talk to the customers and educate the customers as what is the best application for their environment, whether that be gutters, gutter covers, whatever the case may be. That's my dog. He's got a broken trachea. You hear him?
A dog? Yeah, I was wondering who the heck is that?
Sorry about that.
What do you got for a dog? Sounds like a big one.
The Shih Tzu.
Oh, it's a
Shih Tzu. But he's like 15 years old.
Yeah.
He's
got a broken what?
He's got a collapsed trachea.
Oh,
so he can't, when he, I don't know, sometimes when he tries to inhale or drinks too fast or what have you, he starts to gag.
See, you never know where these interviews are going to go. I told you.
I know.
Hey, whatever.
We could go a lot further if you want. I mean, hey, that's just, yeah. I've got a lot of different sides to me, let me tell you.
So, okay, so you had quite a bit of support right from the get-go. I mean, I've actually only been introduced to your magazine very recently. I've heard about a gutter magazine out there. I never really followed up with it in the past. So, so obviously, when you go through, and I have gone back through all your every what is the word I'm looking for?
Yep.
Every month. It's what, 6 times a year?
Yeah. The first year that we came out, it was 5 times. And then the following year, I think we did 5 issues. We're on track to do the 6 issues and stay focused. We did that in 2020. In 2021, we're going to do that in 2022. So we're on track for that.
Good. So I can certainly see, going through all of the past magazines, that you've got a good support from, the main people in the business, the main advertisers you've got there. They're certainly supporting you every month, right?
Yeah, they're good. They're the individuals who I initially went to make this a reality were the key players. If I couldn't get the key players on
Yeah.
board, forget
It
it.
wasn't going to
I
make
wasn't gonna,
sense. Yeah.
wasn't gonna do it. So I just went for the, and each one of them was just terrific. I mean,
Yeah.
has been wonderful. And as I said, I was just getting off the phone just prior to getting online with you, and talking to Bob Jolly over at Hancock Enterprises, and or John Gears at US Saloon, or Ken Miner at KWM, all major players in the industry, and
Yeah, for sure.
they've been terrific. They've
Yeah.
been terrific.
So how do you kind of plan? You must be planning like a couple issues out, what you're going to be talking about, because, you're doing some interviews and so on and so on. So, I mean, all this stuff it obviously takes time. How do
Well,
you
yeah, I mean, I
kind of
think one of the
look at
important things is that installers want to hear from other installers what's
Yeah,
going on with them, what issues are they having,
yeah,
and certainly on the forefront is supply, labor, just finding good people, keeping good people.
yeah,
How do you incentivize individuals to stay?
yeah,
That's always a uphill battle. I mean, supply is not too much you can do about it. I think there's, if I'm correct on this, I think there's 3 mills that are in the States here that supply aluminum, and you've seen a lot of aluminum get taken away from the building material from the building industry and move to other industries which are more profitable. Since like EVs, electric vehicles, other products, chips, and microchips and things of that sort. So you've seen it's been tougher to get, simply because aluminum is such there's a lot of positive attributes that aluminum offers other industries. So you've seen a push that the mill's been pushing it to other more profitable industries.
So, I mean, again, I'm up here in Canada. We've certainly had some issues, but not nearly the issues I've heard from other gutter guys, like just being totally out of coil and not even being able to work. I mean, from a high level, and I'm kind of guessing you're at a higher level than a typical gutter guy, just trying to run gutter out in his community at a higher level. Do you see that sorting itself out in the near future, or do you think this is something we're going to be dealing with for a while?
Uh, Man, that's a crystal ball question, Bren. um, I think that my gut tells me that certainly with the current economic environment and all of what's going on is not helping, obviously. So, uh, some people talk about maybe the third or fourth quarter, we're going to get some type of easing, but nobody's saying, yeah, hey, fourth quarter, man, we're good to go. I think just a lot depends upon, I guess I would think a lot of tariffs that are going to be lifted, our relationship with China. China is the top producer of aluminum. And then there are companies that fall behind, that dramatically. I mean, if I remember correctly, my statistics, and don't quote me on this, but I think that China is like half of what, half of the aluminum that's used throughout the world comes out of China. So it's when that relationship is strained and you just don't have access to those those avenues, if you will,
Yeah.
makes it tough. And
Well,
you have only 3 mills here in the States that I'm aware of. And through the pandemic, having to deal with the pandemic and then ramping up since the pandemic, and then have some having ongoing issues. it's just added to the supply side of things. So people just can't really. It's hard unless unless you were really out in front of it. And I talked to a lot of suppliers, suppliers mostly, and if you're out in front of it, manufacturers as well. If you really got out in front of it and you were purchasing your aluminum and you kind of had a crystal ball and you got out, you could survive. But on the same note, when all these increases, because they've seen nothing but increases all last year. I mean, there was like an increase every month, depending upon who you talk to, and trying to pass those increases along. Some of them were absorbed, some of them were passed on. Sinox, for instance, out of Texas, they're a huge player. Talked to Kurt Geyer down there at Senox, and I mean, they were doing increases every month, just to kind of stay out ahead of it.
Yeah.
And the installer was not doing increases. If he wasn't doing increases, he was going to definitely have to be closing his doors, because it was that important. And now more than ever, people get it. I mean, all they have to do is go, gas. I mean, I was talking to Rock this morning, and he's a big proponent of charging for bids, and it really makes sense at this point to do that. I mean, gas being at $7 a gallon out in California, we're hitting $4.49, $4.50 here. I think the average is $4.20 now, I think. So if you're not including, if you're really not including a cost for coming out to look at your gutter your project, you're leaving money on the table. And it doesn't have to be a lot, $20, whatever, to charge to come out.
Yeah, I know. Like we've been raising prices. I think we had 2 price increases last year, and we're about to do another one now, because we've got I'm out of town right now, but I think we've got a 10 or 11% increase in our aluminum products here in Canada, or at least here in the East Coast. And I mean, that adds up. And when you're buying coils now, they're almost $1,000. It's you really notice that. A couple of years ago, you were paying $650. Now they're a lot of money.
Right, and a lot of installers don't have the wherewithal to inventory this.
Well, it's a tough thing to do. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So, I mean, they're used to be able to go down to ABC Supply or whatever, their supply house, their local supply house, pick up whatever it is that they need, and go out and do their job. And that just isn't the case anymore. That has gone. That has gone. Yeah. I mean, your colors have been cut back dramatically as far as what's available color wise. And, there is a conversation that many of the colors that have been cut back are not going to be offered necessarily when all of this, I guess, gets run through their, when we finally get through the end of this crazy industry right now that we're in, the crazy economy, I should say.
Right. So just to get back to the magazine a little bit then, so what sort of things have you got coming up in the next few months that you're working on?
I don't have my media kit. I mean, you always want, it's kind of interesting you bring that up, because one of the things that used to frustrate me when we were doing a lot with RLM advertising, we're doing a lot of advertising in publications, was having a media kit. A lot of these magazines don't necessarily have a media kit, so you don't know what's coming up. You don't know when ads are due. You don't know when articles are due, because of a lot of our installers are actively involved in the publication, and writers and submitting articles, and as well as manufacturers. We really encourage that. Some of the things I think that we have just coming up is what, as I mentioned, gutter, the gutter guards, and and the importance of installers really embracing other product lines there and expanding their product offering. Um, because they're really, as I mentioned earlier, they're really on the front lines, especially in the water harvesting, really. Um, you got that water coming down off that roof and it's going into the gutter and it's coming down the downspout, and the gutter guy's right there. He could be advocating, have you given thought about, water harvesting?
I can
Uh,
speak to that a little bit on a personal level because I started getting into that, involved in that, probably about 8 years ago. And it, like you just said, you're a gutter guy, you're collecting the water anyway. Normally we're just spitting it out onto the lawn or, into a drainage system. Why not collect that? Now, where I'm from in Canada, we don't have a big issue with water. But we do have some communities where the well water, because we're close to the ocean, right? So I was starting to find out that a lot of properties along the coast, and of course, everyone nowadays wants to be on by the ocean, right? They're drilling their wells and they're reaching salt water. So we started looking into it a little bit, and we were involved quite heavily in the first couple of years with it. The big issue I found was, and this might have been a location issue for us because we were on the East Coast with a small population, but getting those tanks delivered. So in order to efficiently get a tank to our where we lived, you had to order a truckload. So, and you're still, just delivering air, right? I mean, a lot of the tanks are fit, two halves.
right, right,
Yeah,
right.
right. But that was a little bit of an issue. And we were hoping just to sell the tank and then install the gutters and fit it to the tank. But what we were finding was that the customers that we were getting wanted us to install the tanks. Well,
Mhm.
that means excavators, and that's a big job. Like, you just don't, you got to know what you're doing. You got to dig a hole properly. You got to install the tank properly. I mean, it's not just throw it in a hole and cover it. I mean, you got to do it properly. So, and then on top of that, you got to get the water out of the tanks too. So,
Right.
it's a lot of work. It's not for everybody. So the biggest thing for us though was, just getting the tank supply was the most difficult. And then I guess I would say the second thing was putting the tank in the ground. So,
Well, one of the things that we really wanted to bring to the installer's attention was the fact that you have rain barrels, and
yeah,
it could be as simple as a rain barrel,
yeah,
and with a soaker hose, and the soaker hose is running throughout a garden that might be next to your home or something like that, whatever the case may be. So there's really a lot of different applications, but I understand what you're talking about as far as getting a cistern
yeah,
and burying the tank, and we encourage installers to get involved with landscape architects,
yeah.
um, and reach out to them and create a relationship with them, and work in tandem
Well, and
with
it's not only rainwater harvesting, it's I was talking with Frank with Connecticut Gutters, and he's quite heavily involved with stormwater. So
right.
that's a big
That's
thing now
another big
too.
issue.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
just
without a
controlling the
doubt.
water, because there's so many cities and communities or counties or states that are starting to require that you collect that water and dispose of it properly, right?
Right, right. And then on the flip side, there are some states that do not allow you to collect water.
Oh, really?
And it's yeah. Don't quote me on this. And I was just talking to a young lady yesterday who's in the industry. She's on the commercial end of it, and yeah, that I believe it's Colorado. I believe it's Colorado.
Hmm.
That basically that water belongs to everybody, whether it's coming off your roof or not. You
Wow.
know,
Yeah, I hadn't heard
it
of that, but
belongs to everyone. So, you don't get you only are allowed to collect a certain amount.
wow.
So they put a Yeah, I mean, you're only allowed to collect maybe a barrel. I can't remember off the top of my head whether it's 50
Well, we're
gallons or
going to be in Colorado next month, so we'll find out.
right. You'll be able to say, right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Cool.
In answer to your question regarding, I started going off on the media kit, and I would always get frustrated dealing with these companies years ago where they didn't have a media kit, and so you didn't know from one month to the next what they were going to be focusing on. We put our media kit together. We keep it relatively general because you never know which way the industry is going to turn, and you have to be able to turn on a dime. And anytime I'm talking to anybody in the industry, I'm just like, so what are you hearing on the street? What's the hot button? What should we be focusing on in our articles? And so, as much as I think it's a great idea to have a media kit and kind of know what's going on, and from month to month, and have a good overview, because we give an overview of the magazine, and our target audience, who we go out to, who we focus on. It's technically driven. We wanted to really focus on the technical end of the industry, and just talk about the many different products that's available out there to gutter installers. You know, in many ways, gutter installation is a regional thing. I mean, there's a lot of people that are doing it a certain way. How you're doing it up in the Northeast is not how you're doing it down in the Southwest or the Southeast relative to the Northwest. So there's a lot of different things, a lot of things that come into play. Some people do box miters, some people do strip miters, some people make their own miters. Some use, screws, some use oh shoot, what do you call those
Rivets.
things? Rivets, so, it's a personal choice, and typically, if you have somebody that's working for you and it's been working for you for 2 or 3 years, and they're like, hey, I can do this on my own, and they go off, and all of a sudden you've got a competitor that you have brought up through the industry. But they only know the one way to do things, and so they just keep doing what they've been taught
They know
doing,
what to do. Yeah.
not really looking at what necessarily is also available to them. So
Yeah.
so as far as the media kit's concerned, it's a broad overview, and but you got to be able to turn on a dime and be able to make sure that you're addressing concerns. We want to make sure that the publication speaks to its audience and readership, and really focuses on genuine concerns within the industry, whether that be technical or what have you. I mean, we're always looking for press and news releases. We get a lot of those. So uh, it really is just a publication that's focused primarily on gutters. We do touch upon on roofs because it gels,
Yeah.
and roofers and gutter installers don't necessarily see eye to eye on things.
Right.
And we talk about drip edge and how drip edge is applied. And the roofers are typically the guys who put the drip edge in, and they're slamming up the drip edge up against the fascia, and the gutter guy has to get the back of that gutter under that little bit of the drip edge, and it's like they're having.
I don't even want to talk about that. I've had some installers, and you could talk all day about it, but just very quickly, we had a lot of the times guys get up on the roof before they install, and they bend the drip edge out. Well, I know the drip edge is still going to work, but if someone's just replaced their roof and they have brand new drip edge, I mean, most of the time you can't see it anyway, but man, I've seen some butchered.
Well, it's an important part, because I mean, that the water comes down off of that roof, that whatever that roof may be in it, and if you have any backflow, And if that drip edge isn't put there properly, you're going to have
Well,
you're going
oh
to
yeah,
have
you
homeowners
gotta have the
have
drippage there. There's no doubt about that. I'll tell you one thing that we've started doing, and we made this change with our company. It's always nice to have that gutter up and behind the drip edge. And of course, excuse me, when you're not able to do that, I mean, I think I shouldn't say most, but I would say a lot of gutter guys probably lay a bead of seal there along the back edge of the gutter to seal it. Well, I mean, you can lay some seal in there nicely, and you can lay it in there pretty brutally. So, we as a company, there's a cost to putting that seal there. So we just said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to use flashing. So we use scrap aluminum, and on a rain day, we'll bend up a few 100 feet of white, flashing, and we'll make different sizes. And what we'll do is, if we're not under the drip edge, we'll just put some flashing under there, and it's mechanical seal. So, we're not buying the gutter seal, as we're not buying as much gutter seal now, and we're just utilizing some of that waste that we have. So it's been working pretty good, and I think customers like that too. So.
Another, to that point, Brent, as far as a drip edge, there's a company out there called Trust Gutter Products that offers a drip edge that does that
Yes,
really, really well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but
they advertise in your magazine, don't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, fine. They advertise. So I have to say something good about them.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good product. It's a good product.
Make sure they send you a couple $100 for that little plug.
Well, it's at the end of the day, a lot of installers are stepping over dollars to make pennies. They're beating themselves up.
I totally agree with you there.
On price. And, I've been hesitant on doing an article on it and just saying, guys, we really, we kind of can't go there anymore, so what do you do to get past that, instead of talking price right out the door, going, oh yeah, no, you got 3 bids, Mr. Homeowner, I'll do whatever, I'll give you 50%. I don't know what, whatever it is, the number, to get the job, instead of selling on credibility or what separates you from why should I do business with you?
Yeah.
Why should I pay extra?
This is a lot of what we're going to be talking about at Gutter-Con. In fact, our keynote speaker, Tommy Mello, he's not even actually in the gutter business. He's in the garage door business, but he's knocking on the door of doing probably $100 million in garage doors this year. So, if it's gutters or garage doors or windows or whatever, we're all installing products, right? And every business, every one of these industries has lowball installers and other installers that are at the high end. And who are the ones that usually survive? It's usually the ones that are at the higher end, because they can afford to pay their employees, they can afford better employees, they can afford better trucks, they can afford the technology. And this is one thing that we're going to be talking a lot about at Gutter-Con. So I totally agree with what you say there. So.
Mm-hmm. Now, and another thing, as far as gutter truck setup, there's so many different people with advocating different gutter truck setups and everything, and what's the best gutter truck setup for your particular situation. So there's those types of articles, and I had one gentleman who had emailed me the other day and was just like, hey, you need a classified section, in the publication. So, I mean, we're always open to ideas, and we encourage ideas, new ideas, and what's we had we're always looking for. We have a column called Gutter Laughs, so we're always looking for funny. Everybody's got a funny install story. I mean, yeah, everybody does. So we encourage we encourage to hear those types of stories and make those available, and whatever the case may be. So it's
one of the other things I was going to, I mean, we ran an ad in your magazine this past issue. I was quite surprised to hear how many printed issues you were putting out, to be honest with you. So I got to ask you, how did you get to that? What was it, 6,500, 7,500 printed issues go out?
7,500, about 6,900 get mailed out, and then the rest go to supply houses throughout the country.
Wow. So how did you get to that 6,800? I mean, you had to start with someone. I mean, people just started asking for it. Is that it?
No, I mean, certainly with the blessing from the industry leaders, then having the prior relationship in the marketing and advertising with RLM Advertising, I knew who to go to as far as who I could get a good solid database from to start from, and then getting the word out, and we're gonna really start pushing on the website. We have a website, we have a presence, but we want to do a lot more with it. You can subscribe automatically, and it goes right into a database if you go online and fill out the information. And it's just grown. We've seen just this past month alone probably 25 new subscribers to the publication, and that has been ongoing. We'll see anywhere between 10 to 30 new subscribers per month that are coming on. So. And it certainly makes for an exorbitant postage requirement, but it is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Look, my feeling is, my genuine feeling is that the installer works 8, 9, 10 hours a day. I mean, and it's a physically demanding job.
Yeah.
And I maybe put up a gutter or two. And I have to thank my buddy Ralph Wilhelm in Lancaster down here in PA. I mean, he put the gutters up on our house, and I saw the intensity of what goes into putting those up and down a ladder, up and down a ladder, up and down a ladder.
It's a young man.
And you can only do it for so long before you're just like, I'm done. I can't do it.
You're always going to need gutters, and it's not going to get any easier to install gutters. I mean, there's all sorts of little tips and tricks, but at the end of the day, you still got to climb that ladder and get that gutter up there, right?
Right. Now, I will tell you that there was a gentleman next door who had gutters put up, and they were using a lift.
Oh yeah.
To put their gutters up, but obviously that's not always the case. You can't get a lift in a particular.
Yeah, and that's not always easy either. I mean, that's
No.
its own difficulty. I mean, certainly if you're
No.
at height, you need a lift, but anyway, okay. Well, listen, we're kind of knocking on the door of our time, so really wanted to thank you for coming on. And when's the next issue coming out, Brian?
We're closing out that issue as we speak. That'll come out in beginning of April.
Okay.
So we're working on that, and we're looking to do a complete redesign of the publication. We're really happy with the response, and everybody that's promoted and helped promote the magazine. I want to say a personal thank you to them. They know who they are. They've been great, and without their support, there wouldn't be a magazine. So I encourage other individuals in the industry, because this publication gets mailed out, and then it goes into the gutter truck. It goes up on the dashboard of the gutter truck. The guys refer to it during lunch or breaks, read it, and what have you. So it has a long shelf life. So there's not a whole lot of things that can say that and stick around, and looking forward for the next issue to come out. So we've been really blessed in that regard. So we'll continue with that that focus on the keeping it technical and making sure that what we put out, the readers want to read. So that's the most important aspect of the publication.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Well, like I said, thanks very much for the time. I know we've been trying a couple weeks to get together on this, and I'm probably going to be chatting with you. I think sounds like if I want something in the April issue, I got to be chatting with you sooner than later, right?
Yeah, I would suggest sooner than later.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and I know we've talked about Gutter-Con, and really hope that you can take the time.
How's that coming along?
It's coming along good. I mean, it's our first year, so we kind of have a number in our head. We're hoping for about 150 people there. We're not there yet, but we just had. I think we had 4 or 5 registrations come in today, and we're still working on some sponsors too. We're gonna because of our of us postponing. We've had a little bit extra time, and one thing we didn't have back in February when we were going to do Gutter-Con, we didn't really have an area where sponsors could set up a little table or a booth, and now we're going to be able to do that. We've got the extra space now. So,
okay.
Yeah, so I'm still working on sponsors, and we'll be knocking on doors of some of the guys that are sponsoring or running ads in Gutter Enterprise, of course. So hopefully you'll be able, if you end up getting out, you'll be able to meet some of those guys there too, maybe.
Looking forward to it.
Okay. Well, good, Brian. Thanks again for your time. And I'll probably post this up tonight. I'll send you a link so you can watch yourself tomorrow.
All right. Okay, Brian. Thanks so much. Good seeing you.
You too.
Take care.